Groovy music, timeless jazz, addictive dance music, unique experiences, and storytelling. It's time to unveil the 4 best albums of the year in this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge, I'm your host Vanessa, and today's topic is the best albums released by male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups in 2024. I decided to change the format a little bit this year, and instead of covering a list of 10 albums and making this a really boring episode, I'm going to focus on covering in depth the 4 best ones in my opinion. Of course, 2024 was overwhelming with quality and especially funky music, something that I love, but there were also many names and big ones missing from the scene, others were active but didn't release full albums, and of course some interesting surprises as well in the mix. This is a laid-back, unscripted episode starting from after this part to basically wrap up the year, so I hope that you enjoy it. Share with me in the comments which were your albums of the year and why. I'd love to discover new music, remind myself that I have some CDs left to review, or even rediscovering franchises. And of course, please know that this episode only covers my 4 picks of the best albums of the year and a couple of honorable mentions. This is a subjective episode, so my opinion may be completely different from yours. In January 2025, you will be able to participate in the THTFHQ Awards and vote on your album of the year, so be on the lookout for that. Now let's ditch this script and talk about the albums of the year. Of course, before we dive into the albums of the year, I need to have a quick moment to talk about 3 honorable mentions. And in this case, I will say, first off, Tetsuya Kakihara's Give It To Me, because this was a really fun CD. As always, Tetsuya Kakihara knows how to impress, and at least in the last couple of years, he has been amazing. And when it comes to his vocal quality, he's amazing. When it comes to the way that he has been performing, also amazing. And also the maturity and the allure in his music is also there. I really love the collection of songs that he brought with Give It To Me. Honestly, this is not necessarily a full-length album, it is a single, but still it is one of the best of the year. I'm not going to complain when it comes to quality because he managed to, in such a concise way, make a massive impact. At the same time, Kentito's Sign or Sign, whatever name you want to call it, because it has both. So yeah, this one is one of the best albums of the year for sure. I love the retro vibes that Kentito brought with this album. As always, he has a unique sound that no other male SEIYUU artist has, which is a positive. So he always manages to impress me and to leave a mark because his sound is nowhere to be found in other artists, so you will for sure, as soon as you listen to a CD from him or a song from him, you will remember his music because it is that unique. So Sain also gets a shout. And the final shout that I bring in this section is to Idolish 7's Leading Tone. This is an amazing album, dropped really late in the year, but it has an amazing collection of songs that goes from their back hits or their previous hits to some of the grooviest and funkiest songs that they have released to date, and also has Crazy Love, which is an amazing song to lead the way for Idolish 7. Honestly, it is so endearing to see the group grow so much and mature so much throughout the years and bring an album so strong and so cohesive as this one. This is by far one of the best albums of the year, but I'm not bringing it to the conversation of album of the year because almost all songs are not new, so the album isn't necessarily new. But as a whole, it is an amazing album and you can't deny it. It is an amazing album, close to flawless in my opinion. So yeah, this is another massive entry in 2024 and one of my suggestions as well as honorable mentions. So we have Tetsuya Kakihara with Give It To Me, Kentito with Sign or Sign, and Idolish 7 with Leading Tone. Now let's dive into the albums of the year starting from number 4. Number 4 is, of course, Cranv's Raise. This is by far one of the best albums released in 2024. It is incredibly consistent and the quality is off the charts, not to mention the fact that Crumb has such a unique sound that is fairly difficult to find a 2D group that sounds similar to them, from the vocals to the instrumentals. So I feel that this group has a lot of potential, but they also ensured that within this EP, I feel that they actually achieved something really awesome. The EP actually only has 4 songs. Out of those 4 songs, there are 2 new songs. This one was quite unbelievable. So I was a massive fan of Climb, their first EP, but this one, when it arrived, it was actually the catalyst for me to actually go ahead and purchase the CD. And not only this one, but Climb as well. So I purchased Raise and Climb at the same time, as soon as Said That and ASAP played. When it comes to the CD itself, I feel that there was a massive leap in quality. This is by far the first thing that you will notice. Said That is really dramatic. It's an amazing intro to an album that is unbelievably good. This is a song that has a really massive sound. I love this song and I didn't need more than a couple of seconds into it to know that I was going to love it. And we are talking about this song in the middle of December, and this is actually still one of my favorite songs in 2024, by far. Then we have ASAP. ASAP was unbelievably good. I love the 90s inspired hip-hop sound. I love the amazing R&B riffing, which once again props to Tasuku Hatanaka because he's amazing when it comes to singing, let's say. We are not even going to talk about a specific style of singing, but when it comes to singing, Tasuku Hatanaka is really good. So he does an amazing job for Kranv, and in this song I feel that he is in his element by far. Then we have What About Love. This is a different style of song, especially if you are aware of Kranv's sound. They have a sort of a chill, atmospheric, but still quite intense and aggressive EDM sound. It's a blend of 90s and 80s inspirations and also early 90s inspirations when it comes to their sound. So they have a sort of an eclectic approach to EDM music and pop sound. And when it comes to What About Love, what we find is something completely different. This is a romantic song, this is a down-tempo song, this is an R&B tune. And in this case we have almost everyone singing, and the vibe about this song is so good. This is one of the sweetest and most romantic songs released this year. And if you like this type of music, for sure you are going to love this song a lot. The EP actually wraps up with Mika, and I noticed that I'm going almost like doing another review of this CD, but yeah. Mika wraps up with a sort of a bubbly style of sound, which was something that I was not expecting, but still, that sort of bubbly sound worked really well with the funky influences that took basically the song to the dance floor. And for me, that works really awesomely. The overall final sound was amazing, and I had a genuine good time with the song, with the sound or a style that I usually don't enjoy too much. So this was quite interesting how they made a music genre or an approach that usually doesn't work with me, and it actually worked in this case. So they have an amazing sound. If you listen to Raise from start to finish, you will be hyped up, you will be excited, you will be swooning at some of the vocals, you will be impressed with the rapping, you will be mesmerized by this group. This is an unbelievable group delivering another flawless EP, so it's really hard to actually find anything bad that this group is doing, because they are not doing anything wrong right now. Their sound is unique, their approach to EDM music is quite refreshing. I'm sick of listening to the same beats and same synth progressions over and over again in EDM music from 2D groups, especially those ones that are really massive. So when I listened to Kranv, the sound, the approach to the EDM music was completely different. This is something that it is a full-on, well-done job from the vocals, the SEIYUU, the instrumentals, and even the mixing and the mastering of these CDs. So this is one of the best ones released this year. I fully welcome you to check this out, because Raise is unbelievable, and of course it is my 4th best album of the year. Being in the 4th place is not necessarily a bad thing, because I almost couldn't decide this top 4, so it's almost like in equal footing with everyone else that I'm going to talk about in this episode. In third place, we have Shoya Chiba with Blessing. I feel that if you have been listening to the episodes of this podcast and you have actually watched the monthly review episodes on YouTube, you may have noticed that I love this EP a whole lot, and when it dropped I was quite excited about it and even created special features about it. This is an album that actually, or an EP, that actually had me quite excited. It's not flawless, but it is near flawless. And for a solo debut, this was quite the bold iteration, especially because when SEIYUU are making their solo debuts, they try to release something experimental. They are really treading a new path, so they need to know or showcase at least, and they can adapt to a wide variety of situations, let's say. But what Shoya Chiba actually did, instead of releasing a single, and thankfully, if he was going to release Contrail as his debut CD, I may have had a different opinion of his career so far. So by releasing Blessing as his first CD, in this case the first EP, he actually made a massive impact. First off, because usually male SEIYUU artists don't debut with an EP. This is bold, this is a showcase of confidence. This can even be perceived as being cocky, because if you are releasing something so cohesive, so complex, because it's more than 3 songs or 2 songs, so you have to think about cohesion throughout the CD. So it is kind of hard to pull off an EP really good, especially for a debut, when a solo artist is still trying to figure out their sound, their voice as a singer. This is actually something really interesting coming from him, and this is a showcase of confidence. And actually, when you listen to this debut EP, you actually feel this is a really confident one. There is no hesitation whatsoever. He's singing with a lot of confidence, and he's being cohesive, and he's delivering a lot on the vocal end. He's not playing safe, which is another thing that is common when it comes to solo artist debuts. They usually play it safe because they don't want to showcase their weaknesses, they don't want to try to belt notes in really technical ways so that people actually anticipate that in further releases, so they don't want to set the expectations too high to enable them to impress in the sophomore album or sophomore CD, more so than on their debut one. In this case, Shoya Chiba went with everything for the EP, and that's why in comparison Contrail felt really lackluster. Contrail was the first single released in August, by the way. So yeah, back to Blessing. This is an EP with 5 songs. Shoya Chiba wrote the lyrics to I'll Be, the opening song, and Blessing, the closing song to the CD, so we actually ensured that the opening and the ending actually matched in terms of vibe, tone, and everything in between. And truth is, when you listen to this EP from start to finish, you notice that the opening tone and the ending tone actually come full circle. They aren't necessarily the same sound or vibe, but the message, the story, comes full circle. And Shoya Chiba actually showcased that through lyrics writing, so he wrote lyrics to those 2 songs, which is amazing. Then we have the surprise of the surprises, because I said, well, especially before he made his solo debut, I was expecting him to release rock music. He's passionate about rock music. He usually is on social media talking about rock music. But what he actually brought here was a dance tune, Kanjoron. Kanjoron actually made me stop to think whether I should continue saying that I want him to perform rock music or maybe have him perform R&B music, because his voice actually works amazingly well when it comes to R&B music and this type of 90s inspired pop tune, because it works really well. And I was actually saying, yeah, I want Shoya Chiba to actually perform rock music, because there are so many people performing pop and R&B right now among male SEIYUU that he will only sound like just another one. But if he performs rock music, there aren't that many names in rock music among male SEIYUU. You have Shugo Nakamura, Gakuto Kajiwara, and Soma Saito, basically the most active right now. And maybe in some wild chance Toshiki Masuda, because he only performs rock music, and Makoto Furukawa occasionally. Shotaro Morikubo also, but Shotaro Morikubo hasn't been releasing music in the last couple of years, so that's another thing. So yeah, so there's a lot of room for him to explore rock music. But when when I got to Kanjoron, I was thinking, well, maybe maybe you should perform this style of music because it sounds really good. It's actually my favorite song in this CD, and I was expecting to be any of the rock songs in this CD to be my favorite ones, but no, it's Kanjuro. And actually it's Kanjuro and Wish, the two songs that I love the most in this CD. Wish because it sounds like a song that would come from Soma Saito instantly. That's post-rock style of song. It works really well. It's a bit solemn, a bit darker than usual. It has an indie rock vibe. I love that song a whole lot. But Kanjuro actually stole the crown for me, and honestly, I want to see this song being performed live. I don't know if he is going to dance to this song or play guitar to this song, because the song is really funky, so it works really well on the guitar. But I don't know what to expect about this song on a live setting. I would love to see, because this song is amazing. So yeah, this EP, Blessing by Shoichiba, is amazing. It's unbelievable as a solo debut. I feel that this is one of the most mature solo debuts I've ever experienced or got to listen. And he actually was confident throughout. No wavering. He was tackling high notes. He was showcasing his falsetto. He was doing a little bit of everything. He was showing that he has talent. And he was backing it up throughout this CD. It was a confident showcase of how amazing as a singer he is and how talented he is. He has still a lot of room to grow and improve, and he has improved a lot in the last couple of years, especially if you have been following him as a performer for 2D groups, for example. So he has still a lot of room to grow. I cannot imagine how amazing he's going to sound in a couple of years. So this EP was an amazing, amazing debut. And I labeled it as the best solo debut by a male SEIYUU artist. By far, I would say maybe Kentito comes close and Shugo Nakamura, because everyone else was a bit shaky when they made their solo debuts, even Soma Saito, Yumuchida and Makoto Furukawa. But Shoichiba actually was extremely confident and he didn't waver once. He wasn't playing safe once. He was actually taking a lot of risks with this EP. And I like that those risks actually paid off. For me, it's one of the best albums of the year. Early on in the year, I was saying this was going to be album of the year, but actually there's two other albums that actually performed much, much better in my opinion. But let's talk about those. Well, I'm gonna preface this one by saying that I honestly, by the end of this year, I was reflecting on, should I put this album in second or first place? I don't even know where to start. So, this is a wild one. So yeah, in second place, and I would say this is sharing first place as well, it is Shunichi Toki with Another Birthday. Honestly, you already may know or anticipate what is the number one in this list, and it is a fair choice, but Shunichi Toki's Another Birthday has been on rotation more for me in the last couple of months, but that's also unfair because it was released in January and the CD in first place was released in the second half of this year. So yeah, let's talk about this EP and how amazing it is. Another Birthday arrived early in January. This was a really weak month of CD releases. We only had Shoichiba and Shunichi Toki to actually impress. So when it comes to different things and refreshing things, Another Birthday is quite the good example of that. This is by far Shunichi Toki's best album, and I'm not going to argue even about this one. While he changed music genres throughout the CD, we have Latin jazz, we have pop rock, we have pop, we have our R&B and even a ballad. We changed music genres plenty of times, but the sound or the vibe of this CD is so cohesive that you barely notice the differences in the music genres. The way that Shunichi Toki is singing is amazing. Once again, I feel that he's one of the best singers among male SEIYUU. He's not talked enough about, especially when it comes to the quality on the vocal end. I feel that he's one of the most technical and, I should say, most confident singers when it comes to, let's say, to the music end as well as a solo artist, because he really knows how to deliver. He feels really confident and he sounds confident, and to add to that, there's something that I don't know if you are really sensitive to these types of things, but I am in this case. And when I'm listening to a singer perform, I can understand when they are performing professionally. And with Shunichi Toki, what you notice is almost like him smiling as he sings. It is weird to explain this one, and perhaps some of you may not be understanding anything that I'm trying to say right now, and some of you may be nodding your head saying, I understand you, Vanessa, because the feeling that I get every time I listen to him performing is that he is smiling performing, that he is actually enjoying it and finding it fun, and wanting to deliver something really, really good to his fans or to the listeners just by his excitement alone. So I feel that he has a unique way to connect with the listener, even if you don't know him, never saw a picture of him or never heard him in anime. If you basically press play in a song of his, you will understand that he has a vibe to himself. Even the way that he conducts himself as a singer is quite interesting and unique. So he has a unique presence when it comes to being a singer. And that presence carries over, of course, to his music and the way that he performs, that he sings, that he actually approaches the lyrics and the way that he interprets those lyrics, because he's not singing the lyrics only, he actually is interpreting the story or interpreting what he wants to actually showcase to you. When it comes to the music genres, I love the variety and I love the fact that the music genres that he brought here are music genres that I love a whole lot. So I wasn't complaining. I got a treat with every single entry in this EP because I love this EP. Let's say the EP kicks off with Envy. Envy is a Latin jazz song. This is unbelievably good. This is a song to be up there with some of the best songs by Makoto Furukawa, actually in the same style. And then we have rock music, we have pop, we have R&B, we have a ballad, and it is really hard to look at this EP and think, which is my favorite song? It depends a lot on your mood, I would say. For me, it's usually between two songs in this CD. It is Envy or Treasure. Those are the two songs that actually connected the best with me and still are on repeat for me. But still, if I press play in this EP, I don't skip a song, which is important. And you will notice in the CD that I chose for number 1, there are songs that I skip. So that's a big reason why I wasn't sure if I should bring this one for number 1 or number 2, but still I would say this shares number 1 with the CD that I put in number 1. I cannot even think about putting the CD below that. So while it is called number 2 for this CD, I feel this CD is up there sharing number 1 with, let's see who it is, although you already may know. In first place is Soma Saito's Fictions. Now, some of you will be saying, but this CD actually ended up breaking Soma Saito's record and basically messing everything up for him. It didn't sell well, fans were not excited about it, the music videos actually tanked, and Soma Saito actually didn't get any press whatsoever for this CD. Yes, all valid reasons, this CD absolutely tanked with it when it comes to the marketing. I don't understand what Sakura Music actually did, because they actually didn't put any effort into the marketing this time around. This was one of the sloppiest marketing campaigns around an album that I've seen in my life. So there's a massive reason why this album tanked, beyond the fact that the album sounds completely different. So there's another reason that may have been behind people not enjoying this album a lot. But yeah, Fictions is my album of the year. I said this when the album dropped in September. A big reason why this CD is in number 1 and not behind Shunichi Toki's Another Birthday is that I only got 3 months with this CD, and with Shunichi Toki's Another Birthday I got a full year listening to the CD. So of course I'm more attuned to that CD than this one, but this one impacted me the most right off the bat, and that one, while interesting and fun, didn't impact me because the depth in the lyrics is completely different. And this is something in which I feel that Soma Saito continues to excel, even if his music is changing a little bit in tone. This is something that makes him stand out, and that makes his albums still being worthy to check, even if a bit weird at times, or even if a bit experimental. So that's my reasoning behind why this CD is actually number 1. So yeah, I feel that the lyrics writing was on a completely different level from anything that was released this year by any other male SEIYUU artist or to the group. So there's a big reason why this CD is here, of course. At the same time, the instrumentals, they are amazing. Most of those, I would say, are unbelievably amazing. Then we have the massive surprises, the two ballads, Noctiluca and Ame no Niwa. Ame no Niwa is Song of the Year for me. Honestly, Song of the Year by a male seiyuu by far. I've never heard something so unique in terms of performance by a male seiyuu. It's not necessarily something that, how should I say it? Some artists, some male seiyuu have already performed songs almost in a cappella. So that's not necessarily a novelty factor, but the way he performs the song, the emotion that he adds to the song, those strings, the way that the song builds up, there's something magical going on in this song that honestly, it is one of the best showcases of how amazing as a singer Soma Saito is, but at the same time, it is one of the best showcases of how amazing as a composer and lyricist Soma Saito is. It is unbelievable what he pulled off in Ame no Niwa, and this is something that for me will always bump his CDs up in comparison with other CDs, no matter how bad or good they are, is that he actually created everything in this CD. He wrote lyrics to all the songs, composed all the songs, although some were composed in collaboration with his guitarist, Saku. So yeah, this is completely different when it comes to delivering a package, because he actually was involved in everything. You know that he is performing the stories that he wants and that he wrote. He is performing the music that he wrote and he wants to perform, and he's actually delivering music with stories that he actually wants to tell. So this is a full-on Soma Saito CD. When you listen to something from him, you know that you are getting everything from him unfiltered. And with other artists, you are seeing or listening to them performing songs written by someone else that doesn't necessarily reflect their emotions and don't feel as genuine as this one feels. And even if this CD has its shortcomings, believe me, this CD is filled with shortcomings in my opinion. This is up there when it comes to experimentalism with My Blue Vacation, and you already know, if you have been following the episodes here, that I really don't like My Blue Vacation. That was an experimental EP. This ended up being an experimental album. Quite bold of Soma Saito to do that, but at the same time, I enjoyed this album a whole lot. So let's start talking about the things that are amazing. So, first off, we have Soma Saito actually doing everything, from lyrics writing to composing the songs and performing the songs. Then we have the fact that this time around we don't have a full-on story to uncover from start to finish. We have a collection of different stories, so each song is a different fiction for you to uncover. This is quite possibly one of the easiest CDs to get into Soma Saito's music, because you can listen to any song without actually paying attention to the order that you are listening to the songs, because this time around each song is a story, and in previous CDs each song was a chapter within a story, and you couldn't really mess up the order, otherwise you wouldn't understand the story. So while previous CDs were really complex, this one is not complex at all. This may be something that may have ticked off some people, because the CD is not complex. It's really straightforward about its concept and the way that he approaches the concept. So the title is Fictions, each song is a fiction within this album that is a collection of stories. And the tone is mostly of nostalgia and longing. So you will have a collection of songs around those themes, but there's no overarching story. For people that want an overarching story, this may be not the best entry, but I feel that the broad appeal of this CD is here, and this could be a sleeper CD in a couple of years. I feel that maybe this CD may explode in a couple of years among new fans, I feel, because this is a good way to actually get into his music, because you have a little bit of everything that he has done since he started. You have dance music with Fake Flowers, which is more a city pop song than a dance tune, but still, it feels like a dance tune. Kyohansha has a lot of electronica, so if you like electronica, you have in here. You have Sway, which is a shoegaze rock song in the style of The Cure, which is an amazing band. We have Hammer Girl, which is fun, as is a really good rock song and an amazing opening to this album. We have Iraeth. Iraeth is all about the main concept in this CD. I feel that nostalgia is really well captured in there. Noctiluca is the first ballad of by Soma Saito. It is unbelievably beautiful. We have Riot, which is one of the biggest shortcomings in this CD. I don't like this song as much. It sits there with Summerholic as one of the songs that I really don't like to listen on a CD, but maybe will work amazingly live. Then we have Millimeter or and this song actually is really good. I feel it is up there with Ringo and Vampire Weekend when it comes to being sexy. Then we have Ame no Niwa, beautiful, song of the year for me. Puppet Mood, I'm not a fan of Puppet Mood, and I feel that Soma Sato actually wanted to bring in more band sound to ECDs. I like the idea behind, but I feel that maybe this song shouldn't be in this album. It disrupts completely the vibe in this CD. Why would you put that song between Millimeter, Ame no Niwa, and Fake Flowers? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, that song in between. It feels that song, Puppet Mood and Riot, for example, and maybe Kyohansha should have been close to Ventura, and Fake Flowers should have been after Ame no Niwa or after Millimeter, and Ame no Niwa should have been close to Noctiluca. So in some way, while I'm now rearranging the album, I came to a conclusion. Actually, the songs were put together with a purpose by Soma Sato. So there's a purpose behind the songs being in the way they are, because they don't make sense in the order that they now are. So if you try to make sense of this CD and put things in the correct order, you will notice that actually if Soma Sato put these songs in this order, there's a reason behind it. And also, to wrap up this CD, we have Ventura and the bonus track Tegami. Ventura is a really amazing song. It could have been in Bloom and you wouldn't notice the difference. It could have been in Yang and you wouldn't have noticed the difference. And then we have Tegami, which is a song that you could basically pair it with Kesho Sekai and it would work pretty well because the vibe is the same. It is shock rock with amazing work on the guitars. I love that song, and I feel that if you haven't purchased the full CD, physical one, you are missing out on an amazing song. So that is my take, of course, on Soma Sato's fictions. Although I have talked plenty about what are the shortcomings in this CD, and this CD absolutely tanked on the charts. It's undeniable, we all know. The CD barely sold above the usual that Soma Sato sells, and it lacked any kind of marketing promotions. So in comparison with all the CDs that I talked about in this top, this was the one in the biggest disadvantage when it basically arrived in stores, because Sacre Music didn't do any kind of marketing for this CD. They only paid a couple of magazines to review the CD ahead of time, and beyond that there was barely anything. There was one magazine cover and nothing more. While other artists in these top actually got the full shebang when it comes to the marketing department. And that basically may have translated in more sales or may have made their CDs more noticeable for fans. I feel that many people actually missed fictions completely. So yeah. But still, marketing is a really complex thing, and if I could manage some artists, believe me, I would, because it is a bit jarring seeing some of the marketing done for some artists that are amazing and have a lot of potential, but the music labels are not giving 2 cents of attention to them when it comes to the release of an album and preparing and building up that tension for the release of the album. This actually went under the radar for so many people. The music videos tanked both, and his social media was managed in a really poor way during these promotions. So yeah, if I was going to make a marketing evaluation of these promotions, this album wouldn't even be in this list. But as far as the craft goes, the quality goes, and the vocals, this is one of the most unique CDs released. Even if it's not my favorite, by far My Beautiful Valentine, it is my favorite. Even if it isn't my favorite, this is an album that has so much quality and needs to be listened to at least once for you to actually dive into some of the most amazing songs that he created, and actually notice as well some differences in the vibe, because this album feels happier, brighter, which is something that I wouldn't usually say about a Soma Saito album. Fictions is my album of the year. And if we go and recap this top, we have in 4th place Kranv's Raise, Shuichiba's Blessing, Shunichi Toki's Another Birthday, and Soma Saito's Fictions in number 1. And honorable mentions are Tetsuya Kakihara with Give It To Me, Kentito Sain, and Idolish 7 with Leading Tone. So yeah, this is my massive and extended talk about the best albums of 2024. Now you understand why I wasn't going to put 10 names in this episode, because this is already a really long one. So now that I wrapped up this part, let's actually bring you to the conversation. So which were the albums by 2D groups released in 2024 that impressed you the most, and why? At the same time, which were your favorite albums or singles by male SEIYUU artists that impressed you a lot? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of SEIYUU Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the THTFHQ's weekly male SEIYUU and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of SEIYUU Lounge. For you that actually got to listen to this episode until the end, I wish you a happy new year. I hope that everything starts on the right footing in 2025. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next episode.